Greetings, I'm Walter D. Donnie Kennedy, Chief of Heritage Operations for the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and this is part 2 of the October 2021 Commander's Comment. And we're here with our Commander-in-Chief, Larry McClooney Jr., and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Sons of Confederate Veterans this month and maybe even a couple months into the future. Commander, good to be with you again.
Glad to be back with you.
All right. We were in part 1, we were just finishing up on the forest reinterment and the things going on there. Could you just kind of synopsis, give us a view of what may be coming in the future? I know we've got maybe a monument or something that we might put back or something of that nature.
Well, the next phase that will finalize this, of course, is the pedestal and the equestrian statue. If you know anything about Middle Tennessee, you got to pick when to do this because of the weather and so forth. It's either rain or it's cold, and the materials we'll be dealing with, which is granite and marble, you just can't work with that in the cold or wet weather. So it'll probably be somewhere within a year's time before that's started on. Hopefully sooner.
Yeah.
But that will go up next, and then of course the I would say the plaza that goes around it, that'll be the third phase. But we would like to get the pedestal and the equestrian statue up, and plus the grave has to settle as well.
Right. Now, again, a quick reminder, folks, this is at Elm Springs, our national headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Our museum is there. You can see, not only visit General Forrest and his wife's grave, you can also visit Elm Springs and our museum. Come on out and take a look at what's going on there, because we've got a lot to offer there.
And I want to point out that a lot of people was asking about the reinterment funeral itself. Would it be a video? There will be a video coming out. Jamie Matthews, who did a lot of the recruiting videos for us and all that you see, that's on Make Dixie Great Again site. He was contracted to do the video, and he's in the process of trying to wrap that up, and as soon as he does, it'll be available to the public to purchase.
Do we have any idea how long it'll be? 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours?
He said about an hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
And he will cover Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the video.
That is marvelous, absolutely. You know, it was very interesting. I kept looking for him and his crew. They were very discreet. Did you notice that?
Yes.
They were there, but they wasn't sticking their nose into what was going on. They were in the background shooting film. They're a very professional group of people. There's some upcoming things at Elm Springs. Since I mentioned Elm Springs, I want to just kind of plug it a little bit. I talked to Adam Southern earlier today, and he said that around Christmas season, they're going to have a Christmas historic tours for Murray County there. And they're also going to have, in December, they'll have Santa Claus there.
Yeah, they were, I was very fortunate to participate in that home tour, that pilgrimage, as they call it, Christmas pilgrimage, and Santa Claus was there. We had a lot of people that came out and visited the house. So if you get a chance, go out and see some of the tours.
Now, I know we're going to have people always say, well, what does Santa Claus have to do with, quote, the Civil War or the Confederacy? Well, there's a very wonderful little book called Robert E. Lee, General Lee and Santa Claus, and it is a story about a Confederate girl wondering if Santa Claus still loved her and Southern children because they wasn't getting the gifts during the war that they normally get. And it's a wonderful story, and I hope one day at Elm Springs we can incorporate that story there in Elm Springs. But we will, on Make Dixie Great Again, on some of our videos, we will be discussing Robert E. Lee and Santa Claus and that whole little drama
wonderful
there.
Story.
It is, absolutely. I noticed, I read in the news lately that in Maryland, they say that the last Confederate monument that's on public property, Maryland public property, has been removed. Have you heard anything, or do you know anything of that?
I've heard about that, and you know there was a case to try to keep it there, from my understanding. But you know, Donnie, you and I had discussed this, and a lot of our membership gets very upset when they hear about our Confederate monuments been taken off public land. But let me say this: a lot of the cases that we run into, the court said we don't have standing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
all it takes is if you went out and went to these monuments and paid your respects to them and documented it, that creates
Right.
standing for you.
And document, just be on your calendar, right? Visited monument
And
today.
it has to be on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And you point out, if you ever have to go to court on this, that this is not a monument, it's not a memorial, it's a headstone to your ancestors.
Exactly. It's a monument and memorial because it's a headstone to Confederate soldiers, my family, that were buried somewhere in the South. And
Exactly.
that could never come home. Standing, we have to have standing. I'm glad you mentioned it. That's very good. Now, one thing of interest is that this monument is not going to be destroyed, but it's going to be placed on a battlefield near Maryland on the Virginia side of the border. So they're not destroying the monument, they are removing it to a different location. And this is one of the things that we fought for. If a monument is going to be removed, it must be removed to an equal site.
Exactly.
Now, you were telling me earlier about a monument in Mississippi that's going to be removed.
In my hometown, a year ago, the Board of Supervisors voted to move the monument at Greenwood, Mississippi.
Right.
And that monument is very unique because it has 6 life-size figures on it.
Wow.
And it tells the story of Fort Pemberton and the Star of the West. Well, just past Monday, they voted to move it to Fort Pemberton, which is right next to Highway 82, and it's going to get more public viewing than
Right.
what it is right now.
Yeah.
But still, it gets you in the crawl
Yeah.
that you're going to move it. And, the irony is they're going to pay taxpayers' money to move it from a public spot to a public spot.
Right. And it's really to our advantage because more people will see it.
Exactly.
Just quickly tell us about Fort Pemberton because a lot of people don't. You and I know what
Yeah.
Fort Pemberton is.
Fort Pemberton happened from February to April of 1863.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Grant's attempt to take Vicksburg, and it was stopped.
Right.
And it's the only documented time in U.S. history where the U.S. Navy was defeated by a foreign land force.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
10,000 Federals took on 3,000 Confederates, and they got whooped.
Got whooped.
Got
Good
whooped
for-
bad.
Good enough for 'em. That's
Yeah.
all I can say. Yeah. But a lot of people don't know that. And I know you know about it because I think you've written about
Oh,
it.
yes.
Have you
Oh,
not?
yes, I've written a book on it.
Great. What's the name of the book, by the way?
The Yazoo Pass Expedition, a Union thrust into the Delta.
Yeah. Great book.
Thank you.
Listen, I forgot to mention we were talking about Maryland and the Confederate monument being removed there. In Maryland, Francis Scott Key is under attack.
Yes.
He's a Marylander. And
Yes.
This is the War of 1812. He and his song, The Star Spangled Banner, is under attack. Also, the United States flag is under attack by the same group of people. And I wanted to bring that in just to remind our people and people who don't happen to know that the same people who demand the removal of Confederate monuments will demand the removal of all monuments that has to do with traditional Western Christian civilization.
It's an attack upon our history as
Absolutely.
Americans.
Absolutely. And we in the Sons of Confederate Veterans have been in the forefront defending our heritage. Now, talking about defending our heritage, coming the end of this year and the beginning of next year, we're going to have something called our Lee Jackson Banquet, are we not?
Oh, yes.
That's when the Confederation, the Sons of Confederate Veterans, we celebrate the life, the birthday, the life of General Robert E. Lee and General Stonewall Jackson. Commander, I think it's really important this go-around that we make a big to-do over this because of the way the people in Richmond, those neo-Marxist people in Richmond, has removed Lee in that area. So I'm hoping that we can really have a big push to celebrate General Lee and General Jackson in January.
And can I add something
Yes.
that has been kept a real long secret since before the reunion?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have been saying, why don't we get these monuments and bring them to Elm Springs?
Oh.
Of course, we don't have the
Yeah.
room for it.
Yeah.
But for the first time announced here, As we know, there was a statue taken down at the State House in Richmond, a life-size statue of Robert E. Lee.
Right.
A gentleman who will remain nameless has donated to Elm Springs an exact reproduction of that statue that's been appraised at over $150,000.
Wow. Wow.
And it will be erected at Elm Springs.
Great.
Now, this is, like I said, the exact reproduction of the one that was taken down at the State House, and it's an exact reproduction of the one that was at the Capitol in the Statutory Hall.
Right. They take them down, and what do?
We put them back up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this also brings to mind publicity. We need positive publicity about the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Now, I noticed in one of your SCV telegraphs that you sent out a statement about the Tennessee Star, which gave an excellent account of the Forest event. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was very shocked and surprised when I read it because they didn't interview me. They came in during the reinterment. There was supposed to be no press, but somehow, they got in, and they did an excellent article. I mean, praised us and praised how the reinterment was carried out. Quoted me exactly, which is unusual for a newspaper.
Absolutely.
And they really summarized how great the event was, gave us a lot of publicity. And I urge everyone, your local newspapers, who you can reach out to and trust that would put out positive articles about our organization and events we do.
Absolutely.
I challenge you to reach out to the Kennedy brothers with Make Dixie Great Again. We need these articles. We need these outlets so we can get our positive message out there.
Absolutely, Commander. I'm going to ask our good friend Ray Shores to be sure to put up a link on this video where people can go and fill out a form for what we call South-friendly, Confederate-friendly media, newspapers, blog sites, podcasts, radio. We need to know all of this. So when the commander sends a news press release out, if we send it to the liberal media, 9 times out of 10, they're going to trash can it. But if we send it to these group of people, then it'll get spread to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And there's a Tennessee Star in every state. Every state's got some positive news media outlet that we need to be in touch with.
The crazy thing about this is the Tennessee Star's based around Nashville. We know how liberal Nashville is, but they cover East Tennessee and go into northern Georgia.
Right. Well, and in Louisiana, we have something called the Dead Pelican. It also covers Louisiana. Moon Griffon in Louisiana has a radio station that covers the entire state plus parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Texas. We need to contact people like that with information. They may not take our press release and read it every time, but they won't read it if we don't give it to them. So we need this information, so I encourage people to get involved. And Commander, this is just about the end of part 2 of October. October is slipping by now. We're in the process of getting things done. We're moving forward. And I want to leave my friends in the Sons of Confederate Veterans with this thought. At just about every meeting we do the charge, Stephen D. Lee charge. Let's do more than say the charge. Saying the charge is great. Doing the charge is even better. We cannot vindicate the cause for which they fought by just eating, and retreating. We've got to take this message out to John Q. Public, our friends and neighbors, and let them know what the Sons of Confederate Veterans is all about and how we are on the forefront of defending traditional American values. Would you not agree, Commander?
I would wholeheartedly agree. And, can we end with this, Donnie? A little couple of questions that we started up at the National Reunion. If not us,
who?
If not now,
when?
When?
Thank you.
Victory Flags and More in Flora, Mississippi, and online at victoryflagsandmore.com is an affiliate of Victory Marketing Systems, which partners with the Sons of Confederate Veterans to bring you the Southern Victory Campaign. Listen, If you need an American or Confederate battle flag for a grave marker or any other purpose, Victory Flags has them. And we're making it easy for you to take a visible stand for liberty as the founders of the United States and the Confederate States defined it. Freedom tied to Christian principles. Our American Heroes, Confederate Heroes t-shirt line is a perfect example. Take a visible stand for liberty by wearing our General Forrest shirt. It's available in many sizes and colors. And when your friends ask why Forrest is a hero, give them a copy of Bust Hell Wide Open by our friend Sandy Mitchum. This book is destined to be a classic. Visit Victory Flags and More in Flora, Mississippi, and online at victoryflagsandmore.com.